Hey, I'm just getting on a board meeting. All right, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.
Is anyone else having the problem of it losing its Zoom going off and then having to reboot? Or is it just me?
I think we're all having problems with internet today. I don't know. I wasn't able to get emails out this afternoon.
I've lost you guys 3 times now.
Really? Is your Wi-Fi saying it's strong?
Mine's okay.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
Tim.
Hi, Liz. Hi, Carrie. Hi, Joe. Hi, Barbara. Susan, can you hear us?
My internet connection is unstable. I'm going to try to move.
Is it better, Susan?
Susan, can you hear us?
I've lost you 4 times, so I moved.
We can see and hear you. Can you hear
I
us?
hope it helps.
Susan, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you, but I've lost you guys. Yes.
Great.
Hello. How are you?
Scott, hi, Alex.
Yes.
Hi, Tim. It's
Is somebody here? I'm not on mute.
No, we hear you. You're just all broken up, Susan.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you. You just broke up a lot.
All right, we're all here. Should we get started?
What?
Ham's
Oh, no,
not here.
Ham's not here. Okay, we gotta wait for him.
I just let everybody in the meeting.
Let me, I'm going to do my location. I'll be right.
Okay.
Oh.
What do you got there, Scott? And why aren't you sharing it with all of us?
It's just hot tea. It's not that exciting.
You don't have a little alcohol in there? Get you through the-
No.
All right, we'll give Ham another minute and then we'll start. Okay, well, let's get started. And Carrie, you can let Ham in when he shows up. Thank you. So welcome to the December 15th, 2020 meeting of the Sag Harbor Zoning Board of Appeals. If everyone will rise, we'll say the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Could I get a motion to open the meeting?
I so move.
Second,
Okay. Before we get going, for the benefit of the public who may be attending via Zoom or FaceTime, we have a number of adjournments and 2 withdrawals. So if you are here for one of these specific things and you don't want to listen to the rest of it, I will read through them now. There are 10 of them total. And then as each one comes up on our agenda, I'll move for a motion to either adjourn or withdraw that. So these are the adjournments or withdrawals. The first, and going in order on the agenda, 152 Hampton Street, 31 Long Island Avenue, 5 Green Street, 8 Dartmouth Road, and that one's been withdrawn. 41 Main Street, 70 Glover Street, 110 Division Street, 24 Rysam, and 156 Main Street. There's one more withdrawal, and that's 29 Cornell Road. So 2 withdrawals, 8 Dartmouth and 29 Cornell Road. Thank you. Correspondence requiring review. We have a letter from Andrew Rinaldi at 169 Bay Street. I think he's had some problems beginning construction, possibly because of COVID. He's asked for a 1-year extension to begin or to apply. We've granted him a variance. So could I get a motion to grant that 1-year extension?
So moved.
I second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Thank you. So the first of our carryovers from previous business, what we call old business.
Should we approve the minutes?
Yes.
Oh, it's
Yeah, I
not on
missed
the
that on my agenda.
So move.
All
Second,
in favor? Aye.
I had one
So moved.
correction on there, just so people know,
Okay.
that I approve.
Is
with
there
that
anything substantial that the public should know?
No,
No,
we were
okay.
talking about Cremoris and the one word was omitted,
Oh,
not.
okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Yep.
Who seconded the minutes?
I did. Joe,
Thank you, Joe.
So 205 Division Street.
And John is here for them.
Yes, I am.
Hi, John. How are you?
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Good. All right. Hi, members of the board. I'm back with the revisions. I missed last month's agenda meeting. So it's been held over and we did our notifications to all the neighbors and reposted. And we just updated the plans. I updated my drawings to show an accurate depiction of the sky plane encroachment that wasn't very clear or didn't seem to be correct on the first go round. I wanted to make sure everybody saw that we went to the trouble of doing a more accurate 3D model, which I think you've all reviewed. This was for doing the extension off the back of the second floor. So I think we've been over most of it. I don't know if there's any other questions about what we've submitted.
Yeah, I think we were just waiting for that documentation to come in and we got a formal letter from the neighbor, right, that has legal standing.
Yes.
Are there any questions from the board?
I don't have any.
No.
Okay. Is there anyone from the public? 205 Division Street? Probably not, because we've been over this for a few months now. Okay, could I get a motion then to close the public hearing?
So moved.
I
Second.
second.
So Alex and who?
Susan.
I
Thank you, Susan.
seconded.
Okay, so what we do now, John, is have a discussion among the board and give you a general indication of where we are, and then our attorney produces a formal statement, usually at the next meeting, but it can be up to 62 days.
Okay.
So let's poll the board and see what we're thinking about this. Scott?
I'm fine with it. I think it's nice that they're putting back the historic porch.
Right, Alex?
I'm
I'm
fine
good.
as well.
Okay, Susan's fine. Alex?
Yeah, I'm fine as well.
Okay, yeah, and just to go over our points, in terms of the front of the house, it is bringing the house back closer to its historic roots, so it's not producing an undesirable change to the neighborhood. The benefits sought by the applicant can't really be achieved practically in any other way. It is a very small house. The variance doesn't seem substantial, and we don't think it will have an adverse effect on either the physical or any other part of the environment. It's not self-created, it's the nature of the house. So for those reasons, I'm in favor of it as well.
Okay.
So we'll have a written decision for you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, board.
So can I get a motion then to instruct our attorney to issue a favorable decision on granting the variances requested?
So move.
I second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And
Aye.
for the record, the next meeting is January 19th, 2021.
Okay. Next on the agenda, 152 Hampton Street. Could I get a motion at the request of the applicant to adjourn that to our next or to a later meeting? Motion?
So
So
move.
moved.
So move.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Next, 31 Long Island Avenue. Could I get a motion to adjourn this until the next meeting? Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Next, 60 Hampton Street.
Hempstead, no?
Hempstead.
Dennis Downs and the homeowner are here.
Wait, Hempstead or Hampton?
Hempstead.
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 This is Dennis Downs. Can you hear me, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
All right, thank you. All right, so Mr. Schechter, are you on the line?
Yes, I am.
Okay, good. Can you put up, Carrie, could you screen share for a moment?
Yes.
We've got some modifications we've made to the survey by hand to see if it's acceptable to the board, and then we'll get an actual print made up if it's acceptable.
Okay.
So- You're going to screen share with Mr. Schechter. He's got the sketch.
He can share now. And Ham just entered the meeting.
Thank you, Carrie.
You're welcome. How are you tonight, Ham?
Fine, thank you.
Good.
I'm not sure, Dennis, I'm not sure I can screenshot. I can walk through it based on,
Well, just you have to, I think there's a button at the bottom that you have to hit screen share.
right. And in terms of screen sharing,
And then you hold up your diagram in front of them. In front of your camera.
Well, if he would have to have the document on his computer.
On his computer, yeah.
Listen,
Oh.
Dennis, maybe the best thing to do with this is to
You
walk
can
us-
email.
Through it.
walk us through it verbally. and
Okay,
then submit the survey if you get positive coverage from us, and we'll adjourn it to the next meeting.
okay. Well, what they did was any patios that were impermeable have been eliminated and made into pea stone. That was
Okay.
one of the issues, and that would eliminate that excess lot coverage. I don't know if it eliminates 100%.
Well, yeah, that was it does eliminate the side yard setback.
Right, that's the second issue.
No,
Um,
that's not right.
no. I'm sorry, Ms. Mead, what? I didn't hear your question.
I don't think it eliminates the lot coverage, but I think it does eliminate the side yard setback.
Oh, all right.
Well,
And
take us
I
through,
got misinformation then. I was told if we converted it into pea stone,
you
it
can.
wouldn't cover lot coverage or the setback. But maybe I got the wrong.
No,
information.
that's
You
that's
can,
true.
but part of the coverage problem is the balcony,
The second story balcony, right?
right?
Yeah. but I think the rest of it was all those patios.
Yeah, but the board gave the applicant the indication that we did not understand why there needed to be any variances at all. If
Well-
you reduce the patios and you either reduce or eliminate that balcony, you won't need variances, and that's what the board recommended.
But they wanted to keep the balcony only because it's a balcony off the master bedroom.
Right, right. But the board indicated that they did not want the balcony to be kept.
I understand that, but the applicant is requesting it because he's not looking down on any of the
Okay,
property.
listen, we already indicated, we'll do this again, but we already indicated to him that it was not acceptable. So if you want to just, and he was going to go away and now he's employed you and we're back where we were to begin with.
It's an insignificant amount of space. It's de minimis as far as the lot coverage is concerned for the balcony. And it's a balcony that can't be used for parties or anything. It's just for a couple to come out of their master bedroom, sit down and have a coffee in the morning.
Well, okay, all right.
What we had suggested, Dennis, was to reduce the size of the balcony so that it didn't amount to any lot coverage variance. Then he doesn't need to be before our board, and it's only the ARB then. And if the ARB wants him to have a balcony, then it would get approved, but it removes it from our board.
All right, let me take a look at that. I'll have the surveyor plot it all out and I will get a letter off to you between now and next month and tell you whether or not we can do it.
Hey, Dennis, if I can ask a question. So based on that, the variance overage is reduced from 28.6%, 3.6% overage to 1.4% overage.
We had an abutting owner who did not want to be looked down upon from the balcony, and we ask you to make
So-
this a variance for
Correct.
the application.
So-
It's really that
Indeed,
simple.
we have photographs that show that you can't see into his yard because of the vegetation that's there. Also, we would be willing to put up a lattice fence or solid board fence on the end of the balcony that's closest to the neighbors, so you couldn't see it. And we also, I'm gonna have
We
to
don't
give you
want
those
the-
pictures.
We don't want the precedent either, Dennis. Thank you.
All right,
Well,
so
there's plenty
Dennis,
of precedents in the village for second story balconies, but I think the horse is out of the barn on that one, but in the past, this board approved various lattice work or solid board fence on the second story deck so that you couldn't see into the next door neighbor's property. And Mr. Schechter has planters showing plantings coming up, growing right up the lattice, so that the lattice would be green on his side, and it's already green on the other side.
So I
I'm
would
sorry I
propose-
don't have these on the computer for you to see.
we're
but,
coming back next month anyway, so let's not belabor this now. You've heard what our thoughts are, Dennis.
All
We have
right.
Problems with this, come back next month.
Well,
We'll,
Okay.
before we come back next month, because again, I'm not getting anywhere. So if I'm willing to put up a 5-foot screening on the porch, even though it's physically impossible to see into the neighbor's yard, and I'm happy that
can't hear the
anybody come
rest
out
of
and
that.
look, even the, sorry?
we couldn't hear what
You
you
got
said.
cut off
I think
halfway
the
through.
owner
Voice
would
got
have to
cut
be
out.
under oath. I think the owner would have to be under oath if he's not already, and we've
Yeah.
asked you.
I'm already under oath from
He
the
is
last
under oath.
meeting. I'm
Okay,
already under oath from the last
We-
meeting. So it's
before-
physically, so if you can hear me, it's physically impossible from the deck to see into the yard. Even though that is the case, that it's physically impossible, I am willing to put up a 4.5 to 5-foot trellis with screening on the deck so that it is now 101% impossible to see into the yard.
We want to get the lot coverage back to 25% where it's supposed to be. You built a balcony without a permit, and now you don't want to do anything else with it. So
So
come
I'm
back,
happy to make it smaller.
Mr. Schechter, excuse me, come back with all of your suggestions, including the lattice, whatever. We'll certainly take it into account at our next meeting, and we should be able to have a decision then. What we asked you to do 3 or 4 months ago was to reduce the size of the balcony
To what size, sir?
so that there is not any variances required, no lot coverage at all.
ask you,
But that's a 6x6 deck.
That's
So
not my problem.
it's.
All we're asking is that you consider it. You'll come back next
We'll,
month.
Deck,
we'll
not a
consider it,
balcony.
Mr. McGinnis. Not Mr. McGuire, I'm sorry.
Come back next month. We should be able to wind it up then. So could I get a motion to adjourn 60 Hempstead till next month?
So moved.
Second.
Second,
All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Aye.
Thank you for your time.
Next, could I get a motion to open 30 John Street?
So moved.
Second?
so moved.
Second?
Second,
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
second.
Evening, members of the board. Brian DeSessa, 2462 Main Street, Suite 7, attorney for the applicant. We're here. The project had been revised from when originally submitted to this board in October. The last revision was on November 17th of 2020. The current application as it stands before you requires one variance, and that is for the placement of an accessory structure in a front yard. Namely, this is a waterfront lot, so the pool is seaward of the house, between the water and the house, which puts it in a required front yard under the code. So we're here for purposes of that one singular variance. Any questions so far?
Any questions from the
I
board?
have one very, very simple question.
Yes.
It is a front yard, Susan, it is
Yes.
a front yard setback from the water, correct?
It is not a
From
set,
John
it's not a
Street.
setback from the water. It's just a placement of an accessory
Thank you.
structure. There's no dimensional relief required.
I would add that this is something that we formally asked the trustees to change in the code so that it would no longer be required to get a variance to put a pool on the water side of a waterfront house.
Right.
They are eliminating a shed and a patio in order that there is not coverage. The requirement is 25%, and they'll be at 39 something, where they are now at 43.66. So they're reducing the extent of their nonconformity.
Correct.
It's still way off 25%, but our precedent is
I
that.
have no problem with it. Yeah, I have no problem with this case.
Okay, any other questions from the board? Then we'll turn to the public. Nope, no questions from the board. Okay, is there anyone from the public that would like to speak to 30 John Street? If there is, raise your hand and Carrie will allow you to speak to us.
I don't see any hands.
Okay, it looks like no one from the public on 30 John Street. So could I get a motion to close the public hearing?
So
So
moved.
moved.
So moved.
Second.
Who made the motion?
Susan and Scott seconded it.
Internet is not good.
Yeah,
Not
yeah,
Joe
yeah.
made it, but-
Okay, Scott.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is fine.
Susan, you said you're fine with it. Alex?
Just wanted to confirm, so with,
I'm fine with this because we have a precedent to give grant variances on the waterfront.
I just have a question, which is, can somebody clarify, is there still a variance required for the additional lot coverage?
No,
No.
that was confirmed by Tom today, that there's no variance required for lot coverage at this point in time because they reduced it.
Okay,
Alex, they removed, if you visited the property, there was a shed in addition to the guest cottage. There's a shed and a patio in the back,
right.
and they are going to remove that.
Okay, yeah, I see it here. Yeah, okay. Sounds good. I'm okay with it too then.
Ham? Is Ham out there?
Yeah, I think, oh, Ham is here now.
He's here, but he's muted and there's no picture, so I don't know if he's having, oh, here he is. Ham?
I have no problems with it in terms of the front yard. And no problems at all.
Okay, well, it does not require, it's not an undesirable change in the neighborhood. There are a number of pools. The benefits sought by the applicant can't be achieved in any other way. Even though there is a substantial coverage, it doesn't count because coverage variance or coverage exception. It's because it is pre-existing. The pool, provided there is screening from the street, which we didn't mention, Brian, but we will want to see a planting plan.
You do have one in your record?
Is there? Okay, I missed it then, so we don't
No
need
problem.
that.
The existing photos that are remaining.
Okay, all right, so I don't have a problem with this either. So can I get a motion to instruct our attorney to write a favorable decision?
I'll
I
move.
so move. I second.
All in favor?
moved.
Aye.
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 Yes,
Okay.
there's a martyrs plan.
Yes.
Yeah,
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
For-
thank you.
And for the record, the next meeting is January 19th, 2021.
Okay, moving on. Could I get a motion to, at the request of the applicant, to adjourn 5 Green Street? Motion?
I moved.
I second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Second.
8 Dartmouth Road. The applicant has requested that this be withdrawn without prejudice. So could I get a motion to allow this to be withdrawn?
A motion to allow it to be withdrawn.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 41 Main Street, the Cremorris Gallery. That has a number of things that are both to straighten out the parking variances needed, if any, and it's also with the planning board. So can I get a motion to adjourn this until our next meeting?
So moved.
I second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
71 Franklin Avenue.
Aye.
Nope, that's not being adjourned.
I think Susan's on a time delay.
Is anyone here to speak to 71 Franklin Avenue?
Yes, the homeowners and the architect are here.
Okay.
It's Clive Wood here. Further to the meeting last month, Mr. Maguire, I hope you received the letter that we submitted with our intentions to fully demolish and reconstruct the pool house to deal with the concerns. So no need for a variance there. We will remedy as per approved. With regards to the main house and the variance, my understanding from the last board meeting was that there was a consensus that you're at least okay with the variance requested for the main house. So hopefully everyone has what they need.
Yes, and we also, just for the benefit of the other board members, we do have a planting screening plan that was on the original.
Yes.
So are there any questions from the board?
Yes, I'd like to recapitulate the variance for the main house.
Well, the house requires a pyramid variance of 1,685 cubic feet. We had previously granted a pyramid variance that was larger than that. So the variance that we already granted has been reduced. And that's why several of members of the board don't have any problem with this. We had originally approved the pool house. It was constructed in the wrong place. The foundation is going to be removed and the pool house will be moved back to where it was originally going to be. And there will be a screen. There is a screening and planting plan.
Okay.
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 Any questions from the board? Anyone from the public?
Tiffany Scarlato is asking to be unmuted.
71 Franklin. Okay, no questions from the public?
Yes, there is.
Oh,
Hi.
Tiffany Scarlato.
Trying to get myself on. How do I get? Oh, there we go. There we go.
Hi, Tiffany.
Everyone. Hi, everyone. Just a question on timing with regard to the pool house. The pool house was, as I said in my letter to you, the first thing that was issued a stop work order on the property, and that is the thing they stopped building first and continued on. And I suppose we would probably leave it till last if given our druthers. So what is the applicant's intention with respect to rebuilding the pool house, and when is that as far as timing? Because it appears as if we start that and then we stop it and leave it until last. And that actually is the thing that most affects my property.
Yeah, I mean, that was directed to me, Tiffany. I just mentioned that.
Don't speak to the board.
Yeah, and to the board, sorry. My understanding is actually, unless I'm wrong, that we have received 2 stop work orders. Obviously, the one that we have in place at the moment, but the previous one that's being alluded to was actually not for the pool house. It was actually a COVID violation. It wasn't actually technically for a building regulation, if I'm not mistaken.
I think that was the violation that was issued for justice court purposes. The stop work order on the property was issued because it was not in the right place. Irrespective, as I said, I'm just curious as to the timing of how this is going to occur.
And if I can interject, we always like to figure out a way for neighbors to get along, and you will be neighbors. So if you could expedite, it sounds like if you could expedite the moving of the pool house, that would please your neighbor.
I mean, you know, we're people that have always got along with people. So I definitely concur to that. We have a priority to move into that house. We have our current house actually in contract at the moment. We're hoping to actually close on that contract in March. So it's paramount that we get that house completed.
Well, when do you think you would move the pool house?
Well, as soon as we can. I mean,
what if we issue a favorable on this? I think you still have to go to the Architecture Review Board.
No,
on the demolition. Why don't you give us a date when you will move the pool house?
Well, that would be the first thing. So now the pool house will be demolished as soon as we
just give us a date. Give us a month.
By March, hopefully. If we have to address foundation. We have to address.
No, I understand all the problems in doing it,
Okay.
and I understand the problems that you're going through and you have to move and all. But we'd like to have something specific about when the pool house is going to get moved, and then we can settle this.
We will
April?
move it as
April, yeah, April for sure.
well, no, I mean, we
He
can.
just said April, yeah, the first. The pool house we can address in April. But we need to address the house before.
We need to get that. I mean, we have windows stored in that pool's house. They're brand new windows. They need to be moved out. They need to be put onto the house.
Listen,
and then we can move to demolish.
Maybe your architect can answer this question. When is the date that you're comfortable giving us when the pool house will be
April
moved?
1st.
Great. That seems reasonable to me.
That's fine. My concern was that if we're starting to finish the house, it's going to be more and more difficult to actually get back into the property to actually move the pool house and do that construction, because it's a bit of a mess back there. It's very tight.
And there's also, the pool has also been constructed already.
Right. So the sooner that that's done, I think from a practical perspective, the better. Just for the board's awareness, I mentioned the screening plan and landscape plan in my letter because it's not in the board's file.
We have one that we've seen.
Yeah, when I foiled the building file and went through it, it was not there. But
she's correct. It was not in the file.
Well, there is one now, and it's the typical thing that we approve all the time.
Okay. Has that been approved by the ARB? I didn't see a plan in the file that was approved by the ARB in conjunction with the pool submission, which is required.
Yes, it was.
Okay, just making sure. And those were if either the architect or the applicant could tell us what those plantings were and what size?
We can send you a plan, but I mean, the Architecture Review Board scrutinized us to, three different hearings, and
It was just a question as to what size and what type of.
I
plantings
can't
they were.
off the top of my head remember the size.
Excuse me. All questions and conversations must be directed to the board. Tiffany, I'd suggest that you go to Village Hall.
I'll get a hold of that plan.
Yeah,
Mr.
Tiffany.
McGuire, thank you.
Okay.
It's going to be beautiful.
So if there are no other questions from the public, which I don't think there are, can I get a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
So moved.
Second.
Scott seconds. Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so what we do now, Mr. Pedrazi and the Woods, we have a conversation in the board and we give you an indication of what we're thinking, and then we instruct our attorney what to do. Alex?
I'll start.
Okay, Susan? Susan? Alex, let's go to you.
We
She's on a
approved the variance
delay.
before with findings. Yes, can you?
Yeah, you're just on a delay, Susan, so we just have to skip a beat before we hear you. So go ahead.
Susan?
She's
Approved this
frozen.
Case before with, never mind. We approved the case before and for the same reasons, I do not have a problem, as long as we put in the record the same rationale.
Yes, we had previously granted a pyramid variance that was larger than what exists now. So for the same reasons as we granted the previous variance, I'm in favor of granting this one.
Correct.
Alex?
I'm in favor.
Ham?
I agree, since we approved it initially and it's less, I agree. I'm just concerned that that house is removed, the pool house is removed by April.
Okay. Scott?
Yes, I'm fine with it also.
Okay, I have a question for Liz. So this does not have to go to the Architecture Review Board vis-a-vis the demolition?
I'd have to check and see whether any of the changes of the plans have not been approved. I have to see whether the approved
Okay,
changes.
well, I'm just asking out of curiosity. It's not, doesn't
Yeah.
affect what we're doing.
Shouldn't affect your decision.
Right. So then can I get a motion to instruct our attorney to write a decision granting this pyramid variance? Motion?
So move. I so move.
So move.
All in favor?
Who's second?
Aye.
Can we get a second? Who seconded?
Aye.
Susan or Scott, depending whoever you have as first. Second.
Okay, thank you. We should have it, we'll have a decision. By code, we have to have it in 62 days, but we usually have it at the next meeting. Okay,
Have a good night, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you. Next, could I get a motion to adjourn to the next meeting at the request of the applicant, 110 Division Street?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
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 Oh, Cornell Road.
Do we also adjourn for Horizon and 70 Glover?
No. For Horizon, Shannon McCaffrey is here.
Good evening. So since the last meeting, I submitted updated surveys showing the new deck location layout, as well as plans to keep the record consistent. And so they've even further reduced the size of the stairs since our last meeting.
Okay. Any questions from the board? Where'd Susan go?
Nope.
Oh, there she is. No questions? Anyone from the public on 4 Horizon Drive?
I'm here.
Did you have any questions?
I'm here.
Yes. Did you have any questions on
No.
4 Horizon Drive? Oh, okay.
No.
Is there anyone from the public?
I don't see anybody from the public, no.
Okay, can I get a motion to close the public hearing on 4 Horizon Drive?
Motion to close for 4 Horizon Drive.
Second.
Thank
Second
you,
on
Susan.
Second.
Okay, I'll start on this one. This is a fairly large lot and it's a fairly modest deck, and they have made some adjustments to it at our request. I don't think it produces an undesirable change to the neighborhood. There are many decks in that neighborhood. The deck is pre-existing. The benefit can't be sought in any other way if they're going to have a deck. It's not substantial. It's a relatively modest deck. And I don't think it will have any adverse effect on the neighborhood or the environment. So for that reason, those reasons, I'm in favor of granting the variance.
I am too, for very similar reasons.
I am also, and it doesn't change the character of the neighborhood. So I'm all in favor.
I agree.
I agree also.
Okay, so we have a unanimous vote. Can I get a motion then to instruct our attorney to write a favorable decision granting the variance? Motion?
So moved.
I second.
So moved.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you, Ms. McCaffrey. Well,
Thank you.
we
Have a
should
nice
have a decision
evening.
by the next meeting, but we'll definitely have it within 62 days.
Perfect. Thank you. Have a
Thank
good one.
you. Okay, at the request of the applicant, can I get a motion to adjourn 70 Glover Street?
So move.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Next adjournment, can I get a motion to adjourn 110 Division Street?
So move.
Second. I second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. 29 Cornell Road.
A motion?
Oh, that's the motion to withdraw, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, can we get a motion to withdraw that?
So move.
So moved.
All in favor? Second.
Aye.
Aye.
Second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Another adjournment request for 24 Rysam Street. Could I get a motion to adjourn this until our next meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, moving on to new applications. The first is 34 High Street.
And Lori Wilshire's here.
Yes, I am. Hello.
Hi, Lori.
Hi. Did you want to swear me in?
Yes, could you raise your right hand, please?
Yes,
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so this is an application for.
So could you give us your name and address for our record?
Absolutely. Lori Wiltshire. My office is at 231C Pantigo Road in East Hampton.
Thank you.
So the application is for an 8-foot by 16-foot or 128 square foot in-ground swimming pool with 1 feet of coping, a dry well, and pool equipment. The property is located in an R20 zoning district and in the historic overlay district. The property is unique in that the southwest corner of the property touches or fronts on Franklin Avenue. So we are requesting relief in order to situate the pool in one of the 2 front yards. Additionally, the property's 50-foot width necessitates the rear yard setback variance to situate the pool 8.8 feet from the easterly rear yard line where 15 feet is required. The rear yard setback relief is also needed to allow the proposed pool to maintain the 20-foot setback from the cesspool as required by the health department. And that setback is shown clearly on the survey. The modestly sized swimming pool will be equipped with a dry well and surrounded by fencing as required by code. The Historic Preservation and Architectural Review Board has required substantial screening to shield the pool from neighbors. And we are in discussions with Walpole and Summerhill to develop a plan for this screening. One of the meetings, it was determined that one of the areas doesn't get enough light to support planting. So we're proposing fencing over there, but planting's on the other side. So we'll come up with a plan to satisfy the HPARB. The pool equipment will be placed in a conforming location under an existing deck, so it will not be seen and noise will be mitigated. The property to the south will be separated from the pool by the one-story accessory building on the subject property. So in 2018, relief was granted to the immediately adjacent parcel to the west, 30 High Street, in order to allow a hot tub to be placed in the front yard setbacks and for two relatively substantial, in the front yard, sorry, and for two relatively substantial front yard setback variances of 19.2 and 14.2, both where 35-foot setbacks are required. This parcel also has multiple front yards. Like 30 High Street, the subject premises is severely undersized at 7,819 square feet, where 20,000 is required in the zone. We also note that there are pools in the front yard at 99 Bay Street, 85 Riceham, 2 Ackerley, 86 Hampton, and 224 Germain Street. There was also a pool recently approved in the front yard for Landau at 44 John Street, and then just this evening for Deliceps at 30 John Street. Finally, although a 128 square foot pool and coping is proposed, an existing slate patio is proposed to be removed, resulting in a slight reduction of proposed total lot coverage from 2,504 square feet to 2,480. The rear yard setback variance requested herein could be considered substantial, and the need for this variance could be considered self-created, but this should not preclude granting of the variances. Because of the lot size, the two front yards, and location of the existing cesspool, the owners could not achieve the benefit except by requesting these variances.
Okay, I have a question. We received a letter from the next door neighbor whose family has actually owned the house since 1933. And they commented that while you've spaced the pool from your own septic system, that it violates the setback for their septic system. I wondered if you had any comment on that.
I do not have any comment on that because we did not have access to where their cesspool was located. Did they provide anything with that letter, like a survey that shows where it is?
Yes.
They did.
Can I also ask a question? You show a cesspool. Most of the time, septic systems are more than one pool. Have you done investigation to see if there is
Correct.
more than one pool?
Yeah, I believe that research was done. I think there was a mark out done actually, but I'd have to confirm that. All right, so I need to get a copy of what that neighbor submitted.
And also beyond that, I just make a comment that the side yard setback that you need is what's the greatest concern to me. It's a 48% increase of what's allowed, or decrease rather. Which is very substantial. We do often grant very minor setback variances, meaning a foot and a half. But where 15 feet is required, to grant a 48% variance to that would be pretty severe to us. And in addition to the fact that it causes a problem for the neighbor, even if it didn't, there's a reason that things have a 15-foot setback, and especially swimming pools, which can sometimes be nuisances for the neighbors in terms of noise and activity.
So let me ask you something. The pond is no longer on the premises. And as I pointed out, the corner of Franklin Avenue, our property touches that by literally a corner. It just touches Franklin Street. So that's how we ended up with a front yard in the back. It seems to me that we might be able to move the pool into this front yard next to our accessory building and get out of the way of the neighbor's cesspool and reduce that.
Well, it's not just that, and so that you don't need any setback variance.
The problem
can
is
I
your
make an-
the
Can I make
problem is your
an-
septic system. You really should put the septic system in the front yard, and then you'd have more room in the back to put the pool in a better place.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing.
The septic system should be upgraded
I make
anyway. It's not to code for that size house. I personally know that house, and it has many, many bedrooms in it, and that septic system is inadequate for that house. Anyway, that's all I had to say.
Susan, did you want to make a comment?
Yeah, a couple of comments. Many of her precedences were, several of them were waterfront properties, and several of them were properties that where variances were granted before the code was changed. So we would have to go through all those variances if we were going to rely on them, as the applicant has stated. Secondly, if this pool is moved to where the pond was, then we have a problem because it is in the front yard in the historic district on an adjoining street. And we have historically denied those.
But I could see a scenario where you turn the pool 90 degrees and you move it off the property line and it sits between that accessory building and the deck. You would have to move the septic system to do that.
Yeah, that makes the most sense to me as well. That way you get out of the front yard issue and you still keep a safe distance to the septic system.
Out of the front yard issue, you are still in the front yard.
You're still in the front yard, but it's only a front yard issue then.
Right.
So I would like to
Is it
take these
mitigated by-
comments back to my client. I would like to get a copy of what the neighbor submitted, and I'll ask for that tomorrow. And then I suppose we should hold this open to see if we want to somehow redesign this and come back in.
Okay, I just, an observation, this house is for sale. Is it a new owner that wants to do this or the existing owner that's selling it?
The existing owner that's selling it. Oops.
Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak to 34 High Street? Anyone from the public? No,
I
okay.
don't see any hands raised.
So, no hands?
Nope.
Right, okay. So, Ms. Wiltshire, if you have no other comments, I will, your request, adjourn this to the next meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, could I get a motion to adjourn 34 High Street?
A motion to adjourn 34 High Street.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Second.
Could I get a motion to adjourn 156 Main Street? It wasn't posted properly.
Thank you and good night.
Thank you.
Okay, good night. Motion to adjourn 156 Main Street.
I so move.
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Hey, Carrie, on 156 Main
Aye.
Street, Carrie, on 156 Main Street, that was never posted on the property.
That's because they realized that it was wrong.
So they've, all the time they've noticed it, because I visited it like the day after we got the packets. So they will put up a proper notice in the front yard.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, okay, great, thank you. And last of new business, could I get a motion to open 14 Rogers Street?
Motion to open up 14 Rogers.
Second.
Second.
Scott seconds. Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Second.
Aye.
14 Rogers Street. Is there someone from?
Aye.
Yes, Mr. and Mrs. Stone are here.
Hello, I'm here. This is Alex Stone, and we've got Dennis Downs, our attorney, on as well.
Okay, if you're going to testify, Mr. Stone, I need to swear you in.
Yep.
Thank you. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Dennis isn't on, Alex.
He's not on?
No.
Fantastic.
Do you want to call him?
Call him, yeah.
How is our attorney not on the call? Yeah, sorry. Can you give me 1 minute?
Yep.
Thank you. Okay, he's not answering, so I may have to do this myself. We bought this house this year, 2020. It's now our primary residence. The house, I don't know if you all are familiar with Rogers Street, but the most unique thing about this house is that it sits next to the village sump, which is a drainage ditch, essentially, that sits just to the north of our property. During rainstorms, it takes on a lot of water. I've got some photos and things that I can share with you all by sharing my screen in just a second, just in case you would like some photo evidence of what can happen. The main concern for us actually is not the flooding that takes place when the sump itself fills up with water, which it does after almost every rainstorm. Our backyard is actually elevated quite a bit, I think, from the previous owner. So flooding in our backyard really only happens in major storms, maybe 20 or 50-year storms. Our big concern, our primary concern, is the channel flooding that happens on the street, on Rogers Street, as all of the water from the area comes down our street into the drain that's next to our home. And that, in almost every storm, does jump the curb. And the problem with our house is that it's actually the living room sits just beneath street level and only a few feet off of the street itself. And so we're always at risk of water coming into our living room and then streaming across our main floor and then getting down into our cellar. So the main variance that we're asking for before you all is to lift the house 2 feet, which does increase the pyramid violation that we already have, since the lot is already one of these narrow, small lots on Rogers Street. But giving us that extra elevation would get the house out of the street so that we're not constantly worrying about that water that rushes down the street. So that's the main variance we're asking for. The second main variance that we're asking for is the house currently has a wraparound porch on the eastern side and the northern side. It's already a roofed porch. It's actually already partially enclosed. We'd like to enclose that entire wraparound porch and make it part of the interior of the house. And for that, we're asking for setback variances. And then the third kind of major variance that we're asking for is we're putting a pool in the backyard. We'd like to put a pool in the backyard. And in order to actually get it further from our real neighbors, we were hoping to push it a little bit closer to the village sump, which obviously is uninhabited. It's not a park. It's not used for recreation. It's actually a really ugly dirt pit. And so we were hoping to be able to build the pool a little bit closer to that property, which would again allow us to be further away from our neighbors. We have we know our neighbors actually quite well. It's a nice town, so we've gotten to know everybody pretty well already. We have letters, signed letters from our neighbors on the east to the north of the sump, and then across the street to our west over Rogers Street. They've all already signed a letter, and we can get you copies of that, having reviewed our plans with us, and they have no issues with the variances we're asking for. So the neighbors all understand why we're doing these things that we're looking to do. And so, hopefully that helps somewhat as we go through this.
Alex, I just want you to know that Rick Baker just signed on.
Okay, great. Yeah, Rick is our builder. He's got the architect with him as well. But Dennis was supposed to be presenting this to you all, so I apologize for not being as prepared as I probably could have been. Would you like to see would it be helpful to see some flooding pictures, some pictures of the home, some of the elevations? I think you guys all have hard copies.
Yeah, we do. We've seen all of that. Yeah,
Great.
I don't think we need to see it unless somebody on the board wants to see it.
Okay. And now I did want to say one other thing. We obviously it is a long list of variances that we are asking for. There are other smaller variances in addition to the ones that I mentioned here. For instance, we want to increase the size of our parking court slightly, move it a little bit further towards the sump access. Again, we were hoping that's not a huge issue because it would allow us to fit a second car there, and nobody uses the sump access. In fact, the village can't get onto their own access path there without coming through our driveway because there's a really huge lip over the drain that the inlet that goes underneath the sump access. So that's one of the smaller variances we were asking for. And we were asking for a variance to encroach further upon the street for our entrance. We actually want to get rid of that variance right now because we no longer plan to have a covered entryway over that front door. So right off the bat, we'd like to get rid of that ask. One other thing I should mention is when Tom did his turn down letter, he indicated that we needed a variance for a third story. We have since spoken with him and we've gotten our volume calculations for the cellar, which shows that the cellar will remain, even with the lifted house, the cellar will remain greater than 50% below grade. And so Rick, if he's unmuted, I think he can speak to the conversation he's already had with Tom, but that third story variance will not be needed because the bottom floor is going to remain a cellar under our asks.
I had a discussion with Tom, and we and my staff architect submitted the calculations and added it to the pyramid plans, and we've actually submitted a revised version to Carrie and Tom, and basically the calculations determine that the cellar will be 50% below grade. All verified on the pyramid drawings that were submitted.
And I don't know if you can all see my screen, but again, if anyone would like to see pictures of the house or any, little videos of what happens in rainstorms, you can let me know. The other thing that I have some pictures of here is in terms of the pool. We are in a very dense neighborhood, but there's something unique about this little square that we live in between Rogers, Division, Henry, and Latham. All the homes are right up on the street. And down where the sump is and where our backyard is, you actually have some of the most privacy that you'll find in the village because all the homes, as I said, they're pushed against the street itself. So there actually happens to be this essentially open acre of space between all of the homes, and the pool that we're going to be, putting back there sits almost at the middle of that acre of space. I don't know if any of you had a chance to visit the property and go into the backyard, but with the foliage down, you should have been able to see that this is not a pool that we're trying to put in an area where it's going to be extremely close to homes or anything like that. Despite the density, it's actually going to be sitting in a very open space. And again, the variance we're asking for is to push it against the sump, which is not a habited property.
Okay, just speaking of the pool, those are very large variances from what the code requires in terms of the setbacks. We normally wouldn't grant variances of that size.
Okay.
They're giant. Each one is 66%, 30%, 25%.
Yeah, I'd like. Yeah.
So let's turn to the board. Are there any questions?
The question I have is the pool, because I feel in terms of the size of the pool and the setbacks, 5 feet and you're 15 feet, that's 10 feet. And the other one is 10 feet. These are, to me, are excessive variances.
Okay.
Can I go through each one? Is that all right? And tell you what my problem is? Can you all hear me? Okay.
Yep.
The covered in.
Oop, you're breaking up.
Is that existing
Sorry.
or is that new? That's new, correct?
The what? Say again.
The covered entry is new, correct?
Yeah, and the covered entry would be new, and we are no longer planning
The
to do
second variance.
Susan, they're going to eliminate the covered entry.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're eliminating that and we're eliminating the third story.
Correct.
I got it.
And we're also, if it helps, we would move the pool equipment to eliminate that, the setback on the east boundary. We were hoping the pool equipment could have whatever setback variance the pool has, but we're happy to move it further from the neighbor to the east so that there's no eastern boundary setback. The parking court, that's another variance we're happy to get rid of. It's just something that would help us get a second parking space where we only have one now. and it would only make the parking court closer again to this sump access, which nobody uses. It's a grass strip that even the village can't access because there's this huge lip. I'm going to get some pictures of that up here. I can get it up right now.
Hey, Tim, can I ask Liz a question, or do we have to wait until after?
Oh, you can ask. If
So
Susan,
my-
is Susan finished?
Oh, I didn't know.
Susan, are you finished? Susan?
No, I have two more questions.
Sure, go ahead.
I have two more questions. Two more. You can reduce the size of your pool and reduce your side yard setback, and you could eliminate the patio to further reduce your variances. You've already mentioned the pool equipment. Again, on the rear yard setback, you could shorten the pool and move the equipment. And the problem with your whole application is that it doesn't conform to what we need to even evaluate it in terms of detail.
Yeah, I was going to bring that point
That's
up.
it for me.
We need a full set of architectural drawings, actually. And because we don't actually have full elevations of the house. And the pyramid calculations are too diagrammatic. They're really supposed to be shown on architectural elevations, and they're supposed to be color coded to red showing what's in violation.
They are. If you don't have that, that would be very strange. That would be another miss from my attorney. Which,
all we have is something drawn on the bottom of the survey.
Yeah, and they're very diagrammatic. They're not even understandable.
I'm surprised that either your attorney or your building department didn't tell you that these are not adequate.
we submitted the, we have elevations with all of the colors, as you've mentioned. You can see on my screen here. You should have.
We don't have those.
We don't have any of that.
We didn't get them.
No, it's very hard for us to look at this application because we don't have very much information.
I apologize. My attorney has all of this from us. I guess this is not a surprise to me, given that he's not even on the call to present. I guess it shouldn't surprise me that he didn't hand in our full elevations. So I apologize. I apologize for that. We definitely provided him with all of the full sets, including the colored elevations. So that's news to me
Okay,
that
well,
we didn't have that.
We'll at some point soon we'll adjourn to next month, and you can get those to us in the meantime.
Okay.
Are there other questions from the board before we turn to the public? Scott, did you have others?
I just had a couple other comments. I do know about the water problem on Roger Street because I'm sitting at 2 Roger Street right now. And that is a big problem. And I know you're next to the sump. So I do understand the logic in raising the house because the street becomes a river. All of the water from this whole area drains from up by Goat Alley and Murray Hill, all drains down to one place, and it all comes down Roger Street. And it's like, if it rains hard, it's a river.
Correct.
So that is a big problem. Are you planning that the foundation is going to come up high and then that will baffle the water away?
That's
Okay.
right. So we would, the foundation, right now our shingles on the house are actual, wood shingles and the siding of the home itself are buried into the ground and go to below street level.
Right.
We bring the foundation, the stone foundation up those 2 feet to act as that barrier.
And then I know that the variances are substantial to the sump, but I guess there could possibly be a case made to differentiate this from other properties because of that condition for those setback variances for the pool, because it's an uninhabitable, it's not even a usable space. I mean, it's fenced in. I mean, it would be more desirable to be near that than to have it closer to the other residents.
if you can see
I
my
mean, an
screen-
argument could be made for that, I
Yeah,
think.
if you can see my screen, this is the sump, to be honest, in one of its prettier moments. When the water is not in it, it's literally just a dirt hole with a white pole in the middle and a 6-foot chain link, fence surrounding it. And in the winter, it obviously has all of the debris, and you can see it more clearly. This is not some sort of a park. Nobody spends time in here. You can't get in there. It's a locked chain link fence all the way around. There really would be no impact on anyone, and it helps us get further from the actual neighbors, further from our southern neighbor, further from our eastern neighbor. And I also, again, if you can see my screen, I did some calculations for how far away from the homes this pool would be. And, it's over 85 feet from any home and really more like 150 feet from most surrounding homes. So it's half a football field away from most of the homes around us. But yeah, the sump is it's kind of a dump, really, more than anything.
So I have a question. You ready for my question yet, Tim?
Go ahead.
My question is for Liz, and that is that, setting aside the kind of village code, which is what governs us, there is a logic to the argument that allowing the variances for the pool setback and even the second car, space for a second car and that setback on the driveway as well, in terms of being mindful of your neighbors, keeping it away from kind of other neighboring properties and so on. So I'm wondering, a question for Liz, is there any precedent for allowing greater variances than we would normally allow because the neighboring property that we're talking about that would, quote unquote, suffer from the smaller setback is a public utility. It's not actually a habitable home. Is there any precedent for being a little bit more flexible on the variances in that particular circumstance?
I mean, I'd have to look to see if there's actually any precedent-setting decisions that support that notion. But even if there aren't, you can distinguish this property by making that finding as a board, in this case, if the board is so inclined.
Yeah, just because it may be the case that logically the request is actually pretty reasonable and is going to be beneficial to the neighbors by moving it up against that border, even if it does require a larger variance than we would normally allow. But I think per Susan's comments, we would obviously first look for the applicant to make some changes to the plans that would reduce those variance requests as much as possible. For instance, reducing the size of the pool, et cetera.
Okay, thanks, Alex. I don't have a problem myself with the variance that has to do with the parking area. We encourage off-street parking whenever possible, especially in a parking challenged area like Rogers Street.
I agree.
Any other questions from the board? And then we'll turn to the public. And after that, we'll adjourn this in order to get the complete plans. Did those plans give us a sense of what the scale of the height of the new house will be in comparison with the other houses on Rogers Street? And I'm sure that
Are you asking me?
ARB will want to know that as well.
Yeah, they've come out for their site visit already. I'm sorry? Oh, yeah, I don't believe that the drawings, any of our plans show elevations of the houses around us. I can tell you that our home, there's a gable on the street, and then further back on the house, there's a slightly higher gable, a few feet higher. The one that's on the street that's most visible from Rogers Street actually sits a lot lower than the house to our south, which is the closest house to us. Lifting it 2 feet, I mean, we can get you these elevations, but lifting it 2 feet will not make the house look like it's towering over any of the neighboring homes. In fact, like I said, the street portion of the house is currently much lower.
Okay, well, yeah. I didn't know for elevation, so once we have those, we'll probably answer a lot of our questions.
Okay.
Do we have access to the letters from the neighbors?
Yeah, we definitely want those letters.
Yeah, we
I've
handed,
emailed them.
we handed 2 in, we emailed a third, and then we just got a 4th tonight, and they're all from the surrounding properties. We've gotten to know our neighbors very well. They're all really nice people.
Great. So get all that to us. That's helpful.
You guys have copies of the emails.
Okay.
And
Can I ask one more question?
Of course.
I was just wondering how the 2 foot, I know that there's a practical reason for raising the house. How was the 2 feet determined?
Well,
I mean, was it just arbitrary, or, because it does impact the pyramid?
Yes, it was really that we want to do this only once. And so we know that we've experienced ourselves in the few months living there, water jumping the curb and making it to, towards the front of our house there where the plantings are. So it was really like, we knew that doing 6 inches or 8 inches was the type of thing where we'd probably still end up getting water in our home within a few years. 2 feet to us felt like it was kind of right in that neighborhood of, it's enough where we probably won't have to do this again, but not enough to make the house out of character with those surrounding it.
Okay. Any other questions from the board? We'll see if there's anyone from the public. No questions from the board. Okay, Carrie, is there anyone from the?
I just have to stop sharing so I can see. Hold on.
So just hit stop share.
Yes, please.
Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak or ask questions about 14 Rogers Street?
I don't see any hands raised.
Okay. You're going to get us the elevations. You're going to consider what might be done with the pool in terms of reducing or eliminating the setbacks. And was there anything else, Scott, that we want to leave them with before we adjourn?
We just want to make sure that, let me just look here a second, that you're, when you do your pyramid calculations, that they tie in with spot elevations or contours on the property, the survey, which I see you have on the survey, I see. And we just want to make sure that your pyramid calculations tie into those.
Yes, they do. And I'm so sorry. We handed in fact, we printed all of the color-coded ones and they were sitting on Dennis's desk. I'm sorry that you don't have them. That's really frustrating.
And will the existing pyramid variance be included in that?
Yes, the existing variance, the existing pyramid
violation
is included in there already.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it's a relatively small add-on on top of it compared to what's already there.
Oh, so you mean the 1860 includes the existing?
No, that's on top.
Yeah. Okay. So get us the existing as well.
Yep.
Okay. So thank you.
Then just one more question. In terms of the enclosing of the already roofed and existing and partially enclosed porch, is that something that sounds reasonable?
It does to me. Any other comment from the board? Scott? Hey, Scott?
Probably.
Are you okay with enclosing the porches, or do you want to make any comments on that?
I mean, they already exist. They're open now, so it sort of makes the house look less. I guess I would really want to wait until I saw the drawings with them enclosed. I've seen the house, but because it's a mass thing, it does add more mass to the house. There's a difference between an open porch and a closed-in porch, so probably it's fine, but I'd want to see the drawings.
Okay, something different from the elevation sketches?
No, just the elevations that you're going to present.
Okay.
The proposal, what you're proposing. Because we don't have any of that.
Sorry, we have all that stuff and we've had it for so many months. This is really frustrating. Okay.
I ask one question?
Yeah, go ahead, Rick.
Just to add to the pool variance question setback, part of that variance was also studied by our environmental engineer, well as to try to make sure we have space for the new septic systems as needed in the future. I don't know if that's a factor that had been included in the variance request, or do we need to add that to the request so as an explanation?
Are you asking that the new septic system will be in violation of the setback that's required from the pool?
Well, no, the setback, in order for us to get some more space for a proposed septic system, we needed to move the pool. We're not proposing to do the septic system at this point, but we needed to anticipate that given the age of the septic system and potential future.
Right.
Well, I guess what would be good for us is if on the survey you could indicate how much
Right.
space you need for the new septic system, so that the pool, it gives us another reason why your pool has to be in a specific location, because you will have to be able to fit a bigger septic system in there.
We'll more space than what's there now. So, okay.
Yeah, and the reason is that we're also concerned about precedent. So as soon as we grant a variance, then that becomes a precedent for everyone that comes to us after that. These are so large that we might as well not have any setbacks in our code, side yard setbacks. So we need to differentiate this in so many ways so that it can't be used as a precedent before we could think about granting it. So the more ammunition you can give us, it'll be.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, board.
Thank you.
Okay. So if everyone agrees, could I get a motion to adjourn 14 Roger Street until our next meeting, January 19th?
So moved.
So moved.
So moved.
Everybody's moved. Any seconds?
Second.
Great. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
Well, there being no further business, I know you hate to leave, but I think I might have to ask for a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So moved.
I second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you.
Great.
So moved.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Yes, happy holidays.
Members, happy holidays. to
Aye.
everybody.
Season greetings.
Yes, happy
Health and
holidays.
happiness in all seasons.
Yes.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.